In Dragon Ball, there are several things that we never really got a lot of context to, specifically in Dragon Ball Super. And one of the things we're going to talk about that we never got a lot of context for would be God Ki. Now, when it comes to God Ki, I just bust a rhyme on you guys, though. But when it comes to God Ki, like I said, there are a lot of things that we don't really have explanations for, such as how it is concepted or, where it comes from, other than, oh, you keep your ki within yourself. And, that's like the most bogus explanation ever. But what kind of sparked this video is in the last couple episodes of Dragon Ball Super, one thing I kind of noticed, and this is something that's been kind of going on all along, Trunks basically sensed the arrival of Zamasu and Goku Black. Now, spoiler alert, if you guys are not familiar with what happened in the latest episode of Dragon Ball Super as far as the revelation of who Goku Black is, leave now, come back. But basically, Zamasu is Goku Black. So there's two versions of Zamasu there. So obviously they made an emphasis to say that the ki is similar, but not 100% the same. So, I mean, it kind of goes both ways for both of those characters as to whether or not Trunks can sense them. Now, Zamasu is a Kaioshin, basically, or he is of that same class. So in nature, innately, he is a godly being. Now, I don't believe that back in Dragon Ball Z, now this could be because the idea of God Ki wasn't concepted yet, I don't believe they had any trouble sensing the presence of the Supreme Kai or anything like that. Correct me if I'm mistaken down below in the comment section, but I thought it was an interesting concept to kind of just talk about this today. But, at this point of the video, I do want to introduce my co-host because I'm not alone. Mark, how are you doing, bro? Thanks for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you on the channel. Everybody loves when you giggle. Everybody loves when you laugh because every time you come on, dude, just the first thing you do is laugh. You don't even say hi or anything. So, hi, how you doing?
Hi. What's up, D-Free? What's up, everyone?
The realest motherfucker on YouTube who plays the John Cena theme again. If you guys didn't see that video, we did a video the other day about what is the best Super Saiyan form. Go check it out. Yeah, but Mark,
yes.
How do you feel about this? Do you think that Trunks has the ability to sense godly ki, or do you even think that, kind of taking it a step further, like I was just mentioning a moment ago, that even Zamasu / Black Zamasu, Goku Black, total racial implications all over the place. If they have the ability to even utilize godly ki in any way,
I feel like it would be a bit, I guess, okay, I have a couple theories on this or speculations on this, and I want to kind of go back to what you were saying about the Supreme Kai in Dragon Ball Z, because it was kind of indicated, at least, with Toriyama, the way he makes these things, the way he writes things, it's not that like there's a huge like focus on making sure things are canon or make sense or something. But sometimes certain things do fall into place because no one really cared about the Supreme Kai when everything was going on besides Piccolo, who could sense what he was. And considering that Piccolo was an offshoot of Kami at that point, like, kind of a nameless Namekian taking up the name of Piccolo at that point, it would make a little bit of sense as to whether or not he could actually sense him or not. Maybe he could see or sense the remnants of him at that point, if he could even sense godly ki. And then they never necessarily took an issue like, the Supreme Kais are the Kais. Beerus is a Kai, but at the same time, they never kind of made it clear whether Kibito was a Kai or someone like Whis is a Kai, or, someone like King Kai, like what Zamasu is. He's a Kai, he's not a Kaioshin. So I don't necessarily think that maybe at this point, because Zamasu isn't a Kaioshin, he was never kind of graduated to that point, he might not have God Ki in particular, but that's taking a really big step and changing a lot of the context of what we know in order to kind of explain this huge plot point. But in terms of Trunks actually being able to sense Goku Black, it's not necessarily, when we first see him, it's kind of indicated that yes, he can sense him because he knows that Black can't sense him, but at the same time, it would imply that like he doesn't necessarily, or he couldn't at the time, sense him, because in that first episode he basically allows Goku Black to sneak up on him at least twice, where Bulma died and then Mai kind of seemingly died in that episode, although we know she didn't die. And so maybe you can imply that because Goku because Trunks was training with Vegeta, then somehow he kind of picked up how to sense God Ki because Vegeta had been showing him God Ki. But even that's taking a bit of a leap in terms of anything. And then, like, lastly, I guess you could probably infer that Goku Black at the time, Zamasu had God Ki, but Goku Black at the time, because he was getting used to Goku's body, couldn't necessarily achieve or being able to bring out, he wasn't strong enough to bring out that concept of God Ki within himself. And the whole Super Saiyan Rose transformation is his interpretation of it to some degree. So it's just all over the place. There's really no real answer to it.
Yeah, and another couple of things I wanted to really point out is the concept of God Ki. Now, we've done videos talking about this and how it just generally doesn't make sense, in the past. But when it comes to this, you look at it and you say, okay, back in the Battle of Gods arc, they put a extensive emphasis on the fact that nobody could sense Beerus and Goku's power, except for Dende, of course. Now, I don't know when Dende learned the skill to sense godly ki, but he could. I don't know if that was innately due to him being a godly being because he's the guardian of Earth, of course. So I don't know what that really means. Once again, it's another thing they really never really expound upon. However, at that same time, Piccolo couldn't do it even though he could sense the Supreme Kai back in Dragon Ball Z. That could just be an inconsistency that never really got touched up on because, like I said, God Ki wasn't a thing back in Dragon Ball Z specifically. And kind of moving on from there, whenever Trunks and Vegeta were fighting, Trunks himself explicitly states that he no longer could sense Vegeta's transformation to Super Saiyan Blue either. But even prior to that, he could sense Black and Black's abilities, like you said, before he came back to the past. So that would kind of indicate to me that even though at that time Zamasu wasn't introduced, because he came down from the heavens, of course, he wasn't in that timeline at the time prior to Trunks returning to the past. That would indicate to me that base Black at least doesn't utilize God Ki because it's still natural Goku's body. Now, why Trunks couldn't make the connection and say, hey, this is Goku's Ki or Goku's body, I don't know. But it does seem like that. And then kind of touching on Super Saiyan Rose or Rose, whatever, I don't know necessarily if that form utilizes it either, because it seems like to me, you said it seems like, I don't know, maybe I misunderstood you, but you said it seems like to you like that is his interpretation of Super Saiyan Blue. It seems like to me that could be more or less his interpretation of just the regular Super Saiyan. I don't know if that form utilizes it either because he sensed that as well. Now, this can all be thrown a wrench in basically if in his training with Vegeta after that time they sparred that we saw the episode, and in the time that passed following that and Vegeta training and stuff, in which Trunks learned Final Flash or whatever happened that we never got to see, maybe he did explain to him how to do it. I don't think it would, he had enough time per se, but maybe he learned how in that time frame. That could all just be kind of explained away if that is the case, but I don't know necessarily. Well, so it seems like more or less that Trunks can't, but at the same time, they're not using it.
Well, no, I feel like that's just the general answer. It's really confusing just because you would think, because of how the series has kind of portrayed God Ki while not explaining it, that it was actually like a pure form of energy. You would think there would be no reason for them, if they could, to not just like constantly utilize it. I mean, it would be like a Dragon Ball GT situation where, Goku's just after a certain point, he's just in his, they don't wish him to be an adult, but he's just in his Super Saiyan 4 form, like all day. It doesn't drain him or anything. There's nothing like that. And just because it's kind of an easier concept than him it's kind of an easier thing for him to just be in that all powerful form if he can. So it kind of brings up this idea, and I want everyone to kind of tell me what they think about this, but is it possible that, like I said, his interpretation of what God Ki is, or what a Super Saiyan God would look, if the same reason, if he is Zamasu, and just because he has Goku's body, he's still he has the mind and heart or something, he has basically the soul of a god within him. If the purple rose aura, I don't know, that he uses, or the aura that Beerus and Champa use, or I'm pretty even sure that all the other Kais have some kind of a purplish aura. Is it like that's a pure god form ki, and what Goku and Vegeta are using are basically just kind of a mortal, like a less pure form, like a mortal form of attempting or achieving that particular goal. And the only reason, because like Supreme Kai or Zamasu or Gawasu or Beerus or Champa can actually maintain that power at all times is because they're gods and not because of anything else, and they don't have to kind of power down, but because Goku and Vegeta and even Goku Black at this point are all kind of mortal beings, mortal bodies that can't handle that much that much energy or keeping that energy in them as long as they can, so they have to not utilize it all the time. So basically like Goku Black, like Goku and Vegeta, they can utilize that form for an extended period of time, but it does wear on their bodies. But we have no indication of whether that's even true. So that's my interpretation of it. Like, he's basically he can use it sparingly because he's actually an immortal body, and it would like kind of deteriorate him if he were to actually use it constantly. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Like, honestly, no one's really talked about this, but I feel like it is interesting, bringing up at least, does Goku Black have some sort of God Ki in him? When we did a video the other day where I mentioned that one of the reasons I liked the Super Saiyan God look is because it slimmed Goku down and made him kind of like a more slim fit looking Goku. And that seems to be Goku Black's like general state. Like, he's a slimmer version of Goku. He's not jacked.
That's true. Yeah, and even though, he kind of going with that too, because apparently I can't talk in this video, kind of going with that same vein, even his clothes seem a bit looser on him too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I feel like that's exactly what, whether or not, like, is it just because that's the style? Or is it because he has that lingering God potential in him that's keeping him looking like a Super Saiyan God just in its pure ritual performance? I don't know. Yeah. I guess there is no answer.
Yeah, the thing is that I don't think we'll ever get an answer to anything that we talked about in this video anyway. So nonetheless, we're going to turn it over to you guys. Do you think that Trunks can sense God Ki? And kind of like the subplot of this video, do you think that Super Saiyan Rose is a God Ki based transformation? But nonetheless, subscribe to Mark. Mark is an amazing person who has amazing content, a lot of Dragon Ball discussions, and a lot of fan fictionary theories and such like that. So I still can't talk, so I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you for joining me, Mark. It's been a pleasure, bro. I can't talk. Buddy. It's just not. It's not my day. It's not.
I'm sorry.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning into the video. We'll catch you guys later. Peace. I said like 30 times. Bye.